Dear recipients of honorary degree, dear governors, friends, members of Tel Aviv University community. We are still at war with Hamas, going on for almost 8 months. Since October 7th, more than 1,500 Israelis have been brutalized, murdered, or have died in battle. Of the 260 people taken hostage, about half are still in Gaza, alive or dead. 17 of our students were killed in the war, and about 70 families from the university community lost a close family member. We mourn with them. In total, about 7,000 of our students served or are serving now in IDF reserve duty, and we are very proud of them and concerned for them. We hope for the return of the hostages, the full recovery of the wounded, the return of those evacuated from the south and north to their homes, and the restoration of security and peace to the region. However, even in wartime, we must maintain our way of life. Especially for a university, it is crucial to continue researching, teaching, and contributing to society. Today's honorary degrees ceremony shows that the pursuit of science and knowledge never stops. I congratulate today's recipients, groundbreaking scientists and scholars, prominent public figures, visionary philanthropists, each personifying excellence and social impact. It is a great honor for us to acknowledge your admirable work today. The current period, the most difficult in the history of the State of Israel, also presents special challenges for the university. I want to talk about 2 of them. Let me start with the first challenge, ensuring freedom of expression for our students without sacrificing campus safety. On October 7th, some of our students began making harsh statements on social media, seemingly in support of Hamas attack. Other students appeared to incite against their Arab classmates. From the outset, we opposed punishing students without due process. In the end, only few students faced disciplinary procedures, and in all other cases, educational steps were taken. With such measures and others, we were able to reduce tension between Jews and Arabs on campus. We stated from the beginning that democracy is not suspended in times of war, nor are human and civil rights. Yet, alongside freedom of expression, we also had to consider the safety and proper functioning of our university community. Look at what happened at US universities when free expression was permitted at the expense of campus safety, and then, too late, large police forces had to be called in. At Tau, because we sought to strike a balance, no student's request for public activity was denied, and yet we are managing to maintain peace and order on campus. The second challenge resulting from the war is combating BDS. In recent months, we have encountered new forms of boycotts not seen before. If in the past it was about not inviting Israeli researchers to conferences or not accepting their articles for journals, today we see entire universities boycotting Israeli academia as a whole. The extreme case is Spain, where all the universities in the country jointly decided to boycott Israeli universities unless they can prove they are promoting peace. In other countries too, including the Netherlands, Norway, Ireland, and Mexico, partner universities have notified us of their intention to suspend or cancel their agreements with us. The BDS movement today reflects two different claims for justifying a boycott: the instrumental claim and the direct accusation claim. According to the instrumental claim, boycotting universities in Israel will create pressure on the government to change its policies. The claim fails because from the universities in Israel and in any democratic country often come the sharpest critics of the government. Therefore, boycotting universities will not alter the government's way and might even serve its interests. According to the direct accusation claim, the universities themselves are guilty of behavior that justifies their boycott. This claim is even more fallacious. Let me illustrate. At Rutgers University in New Jersey, a pro-Palestinian letter was distributed alleging that Tel Aviv University holds the bodies of Palestinians and refuses to release them for burial. There is no fundamental difference between this blood libel and those of the 15th century claiming that Jews baked matzah with the blood of Christian babies. But there are apparently those who believe this blood libel, otherwise it would not have been distributed. The same letter also claimed that Tel Aviv University practices apartheid. Anyone familiar with Tel Aviv University knows there is no more liberal and pluralistic university that supports minorities groups than Tel Aviv University. Another claim by BDS activists is that universities in Israel, including Tel Aviv University, collaborate with the IDF. Indeed, there are researchers at the university who choose to engage in civilian research that also benefits our national security. We are proud of this. The same happens at the best universities in the United States, where American researchers contribute through their research to American national security. Just as these universities do not become agencies of the state or the military, neither do universities in Israel. Tel Aviv University, along with the other universities in Israel, is fighting daily against the BDS movement because we cannot afford to be disconnected from the global academic community. Academic institutions around the world that boycott Israeli academia fail in their duty to promote research and the dissemination of knowledge. Recently, they also fail by not being critical enough of claims often driven by anti-Semitism. I would like to conclude by expressing my gratitude to you all for coming here during such a difficult period for our country. Your friendship is more important to us than ever. I believe that this nation is resilient enough to overcome this tough period, and together we will emerge from it even stronger. Thank you.